Why wait to earn the degree you deserve? You have the experience, you have the knowledge. Now's the time to get the credit for the work you've done and earn the recognition you deserve by starting your comeback at Purdue Global. It's time to earn a degree you'll be proud of, a degree that employers will respect. It's never too late. Never too late to come back stronger and move forward in your career. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. Purdue's online university for working adults.
A group of high school students started a project to research a string of unsolved murders.
There is no profile of this killer except for the ones the students created.
What if this guy's still alive? Like, what if he comes after us?
Once you start getting a few tips or a few leads or a few identifications, then the cold case isn't so cold anymore.
This is Murder 101. Listen to Murder 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Episode 59, Creating Soulful Simplicity in Your Life with Courtney Carver.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends Podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Woo woo. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Frugal Friends Podcast. I am Jen.
I'm Jill.
We are really excited to have another awesome guest. I don't know how we get these fantastic guests to come hang out with us.
Because of you, Jen, because you're reaching out to all these fantastic people.
I do. I email them and I'm like, we have this podcast. Will you please come hang out with us for a half hour?
Come be our friend.
Yeah.
We want more frugal friends.
Yes, and then they do. And so we have the author of Soulful Simplicity, which was our March book club book, on with us today. And she is sharing, if you read her book, then you know like why we're so excited. But if you didn't, she is an amazing individual who used the pursuit of less stress and a more simpler lifestyle to eliminate her symptoms of MS, to get out of debt, to create a healthier lifestyle inside and out. And she's done like all the things that everybody wants to do. She did them. And how can you not want to talk to somebody that's done all the things you want to do?
Exactly. And is living a simple lifestyle, and it's actually working. So,
yeah. So we talked to her. So I emailed her. And she came on. But before we dive into the awesome interview, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Yes, it's our favorite. Not our favorite time of the week, but one of them. We've got so many favorites. Sponsors.
Maybe our third. This is our third favorite. Time of the week.
Yeah, but it's at the top of the show.
And just as awesome, can't believe we haven't had these people, these places, these things, whatever these are, as the sponsor before, but we've got them now, is thrift stores. Today's episode is brought to you by thrift stores. Need something to put in your house, on your body, or for a Christmas gift for a person you feel obligated to buy for? Thrift stores are here for you. Don't pay full price when you can get the same or comparable items for a fraction of the price. Buy at thrift stores. Now on sale for 50% off. Certain colors once a week or all week. Thrift stores.
Oh, I do.
Did that make sense?
Yeah,
you know those color tag sales?
The color tag sales. They all do them.
I love those
Wednesday,
things.
or some even will do certain days of the week. So you can just know every Wednesday the entire store might be 50% off. So
yes,
in your house, on your body.
My favorite one just posts their schedule for the month, so I know.
Wow. I mean, it's not totally the most conducive environment for minimalism because everything is so cheap. So if you're trying to go minimal, you also have to rein in and get some of that self-control. That was a previous sponsor, I think.
Yeah. Right.
So
bringing it back to our former sponsor, self-control.
Former sponsor, self-control is necessary when going to the thrift store. On half price day or green tag sale day.
Yes.
Enough said there. You guys get it. Let's talk about simplicity and minimalism with Courtney Carver. Why wouldn't we get into that?
Yes, it's so good. Let's get started. Courtney, thank you so much for coming on to the Frugal Friends podcast. We're so stoked to have you here.
Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, welcome. And a lot of your name will be familiar to many of our listeners because your book was one of the books that we read during our book club. So Soulful Simplicity is going to ring some bells for people. And if not, then we will encourage anyone to go read it. But we are curious to hear from you. I mean, your book is about simplicity and minimalism, but we're curious about what got you started down this path to minimalism.
Yeah, it was sort of an accident. I didn't intend to simplify my life, but in 2006, after months of feeling really crappy, having the kind of vertigo where you have to hold on to the wall, a lot of fatigue and other unexplained symptoms, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Okay.
And after that diagnosis, or shortly after, I was trying to figure out how to eliminate as much stress as possible from my life because all the research I did demonstrated that stress really contributes to decline in MS, autoimmune conditions, and I mean, really to all of us and our general health, if you think about it. But for me, my only goal in the beginning was, trying to figure out how to live well with MS, how to be healthy, how to continue to do the things I enjoy doing, but also to start not doing the things I didn't enjoy doing and to eliminate stress. And so as I started to do that, I noticed this trend of simplicity, like everything that I was doing to eliminate stress in every category, whether it be food or money or stuff or work, it all came down to simplifying it. And so that's what really got me hooked on simplicity and minimalism.
It's interesting to hear you connect simplicity with health benefits. And it's not a far stretch, but I don't think it's on many people's minds of the real impact that stress can have on us physically. And, it's talked about in a number of different areas of life, whether it's fertility or medical concerns or hormonal imbalances or, you name it medically. And research shows that the more stress, like the less likely you are for recovery or living any sort of like healthy life with some sense of well-being in it. But I think so many people come up against a barrier of, well, then what does that look like? Like, the doctor says to avoid stress, but okay, how do I do that? What does that look like? So it's really neat to hear you have made that connection between, simplicity might help to provide some of that decrease in stress.
Yeah, it's sort of a roadmap, I guess, for reducing that stress. And I mean, side note, none of my doctors ever said reduce stress. In fact, when I was diagnosed in 2006, which I'm trying to do the math here, but I think that's 12 or 13 years ago, nobody was even talking about diet, exercise, any lifestyle changes to reduce symptoms or to live a healthier lifestyle within the context of the MS discussion. And now that's very different, thankfully. People are starting to talk about it more. But even on the most basic, obvious level, we've all experienced this whenever we've been in a situation where we're not feeling well or we're run down and we say or think, oh, this is my body's way of telling me to slow down. Instinctively, we know what we need to do, but the message we've been delivered over and over again is push through the pain, go, 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 keep going, push, push, push. And it's not working. Like, it's clearly not working for us.
Wow.
Yeah, I find that is my problem so often, is that I feel like I need to push through. Even at 9 months pregnant, I feel like I need to push through and clean the oven. And yeah, it's so hard to make the changes and take the time that I know like that I need to do.
But you would encourage a friend to do that. I mean, you would say, like I would say to you, you're literally growing an entire other human being in your body. That's enough. Like you really don't have to do anything else at all.
Yeah. But when it's us, we don't see that.
Right.
It's so bizarre.
And unfortunately, there are schools of thought of sickness is all in your head. If you can just think positively, then you'll be able to accomplish all these things and more. And it's just not accurate. Like it's not accurate in how we see life actually playing out. And we've lost touch of what rest looks like, or fun, or joy. So it's really refreshing to hear you talk about this. And it sounds like you're a bit of a trailblazer in this too, in that these messages were not being given to you even from the medical field in how to manage the diagnosis that you've been given and had to discover these things for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I really want to know, like, so what are those changes you made to eliminate that stress from your life? And like, how did you work through that difficulty in trying to like take the advice that you would give to others?
Well, at first, I was never really thinking about giving advice to others. I wasn't thinking about blogging or writing a book or any of that. It was all, survival mode. And so what I did is I just thought, what's the most stressful thing in my life? What's the one thing I could do first to reduce a lot of stress in my body? And normally my go-to would be, what are all the things I can do and how can I start them all today and finish them in 30 days and be perfect and amazing and wonderful?
So true.
Yeah. And then I would burn out on like day 10. But this time it was just, I had to have a different approach. Number one, because I was really sick, very overwhelmed, very scared. And so it had to be one thing at a time. It's really all I could take. And I decided, based on a book that I read called The China Study, and they also have a documentary called Forks Over Knives, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen. I think it might even be still on Netflix. I decided to start with food, the stress in my diet. What could I change in my diet to reduce inflammation, which is stress inside my body? And for me, I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor. I'm not recommending this, but for me, what that looked like was eliminating meat and most animal products, or at least experimenting with that. I didn't know if I would feel better or not, so I wanted to try. I did feel better, so I stayed off most of them, even to this day. But my experimenting with food continued and still continues, and now my diet has changed over time because I think our bodies change, what we want and need in our bodies change. So now I eat a little bit of seafood. I eat way less in terms of processed foods and pastas and breads overall, not a nothing. It's not an all or nothing thing. I don't think that's the right approach for me either. But anyway, food is where it started. And then once that felt like the new normal, I thought, what is the next most stressful thing in my life? And it was debt. I had just a crushing amount of debt, from cars to cards to student loans. You name it, I had it. And I never considered being debt-free. I mean, I went into debt when I was 18. Like this, as soon as I could get my hands on a credit card, I was in debt. And it just continued from there. And so this idea of being debt-free felt like it might take forever, but it also felt like it might be worth it. And it took not forever, but about 3 years. And while we were paying down the debt, that gave us some room to notice, while we didn't have so much incoming because we weren't spending as much, it gave us a chance, or me a chance, to notice the stress of my stuff. I never really thought of that clutter or that extra stuff or spending as stressful. I thought it was relieving stress. Like, I've had a crappy week, I'm going to go shopping and blow off some steam. But then that just added to the debt load, which became stress. So midway through the debt repayment process is when I started looking at the stuff and getting rid of clutter and making more space in my home and getting rid of the things that weren't important to me, which was most of it.
Speaking of finances and how this has kind of translated into all aspects of your life, how did you simplify within finances? I know you're talking about some debt repayment, but how did you go about tackling that?
Yeah, we used a plan. So instead of just trying to figure it out, I had started to listen to Dave Ramsey on the radio, and then I read his book, The Total Money Makeover, and we did his Financial Peace University course online, my husband and I together. And that's how we followed the baby steps, and that's how we got out of debt.
Any other areas of finances that this process has caused you to minimize?
I mean, spending 100% because, or I guess I spend money differently than I did. And I have an emergency fund, which I never had before. And oddly, very few emergencies now that there's an emergency fund. So yeah, it was just this process of, after so many years of doing this paycheck to paycheck living and wondering why I didn't have more money, because I was working, I was making decent money, but I was just outspending myself. And even when I wasn't, I had so much debt built up that I was always playing catch up. So the stress of that, letting go of that stress was enormous. I mean, enormous.
We know New Year's resolutions often don't stick. In fact, on average, they last around 30 days. So if saving money is on your 2024 resolution list, here's a foolproof way to stick to yours.
Switch your phone provider to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month.
For those of you paying close to $40 a month for just one phone line, this means a savings of $300 over the course of the year. We especially like Mint because all plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/frugal. That's mintmobile.com/frugal. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/frugal. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So, buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So, how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing. And of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
Yeah. And I remember it's not even because you were this wild spender. For a while you were a single mom and you were trying to make it. And
yeah, but honestly, even in the midst of that, I was still spending. I was still spending on my credit cards. And some of that was necessity. I wasn't making enough money to support myself and my daughter. And so I was putting necessities on credit cards, but I was also throwing vacations in there and stuff like that too, because I just kept having this running story that because I was suffering, because I was working a job I didn't enjoy, because I was trying to make ends meet all the time, that I deserved nice things.
Yes.
And what I didn't realize is in getting those nice things that I thought I deserved, I was also getting more debt, more stress, and more sick.
Yeah. And I think that's a lie that we tell ourselves a lot.
Yes.
So I think it's great to just hear what it's like on the other side of that belief system.
Yeah, I always told myself I'll never get out of debt anyway, so why not spend the money? My credit score is already in the toilet, so who cares if I'm late on these things? It was really a vicious cycle.
Are you out of debt?
Oh,
now?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
How long did that process take?
So it took us, I think, about 3 years to pay off all of our debt. And I mean, we've been debt free for, I want to say maybe 2012-ish, we got out of debt.
Wow.
So just before our daughter graduated from high school, which was such great timing because then we could afford to put her through college without debt and without her incurring any debt. And for me, that was, not an obligation, but really an honor to be able to give her that so that as she left college, she could make decisions based on something besides money. When I left school, I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much student debt, so much credit card debt. Like I have to take the best paying job, even if I don't want to be in that field.
And that's never a good feeling. And that's not going to help stress or simplicity in our lives.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what do you guys get to do financially today because you are debt free?
Well, we give more and save more than we ever have before, which is wonderful. We travel more than we did. Those are probably the three big things. And just not having that like angst of, is there going to be a collector calling or I don't know. I mean, oddly enough, all the things I wish I could have purchased then, I probably could now, but I don't want those things anymore. Like I've gotten to that place where the things that I once thought I needed to be happy don't matter to me.
Yeah. Where are some of the fun places that you've traveled?
Well, I just got back from a trip to Amsterdam and Paris, which was a really great time.
Really? Oh, that's hard to believe.
It was really, really nice. And then, I travel for work quite a bit. Right now I'm not, but I travel to some really fun cities. And I have friends and family that live all over the world. So it's really nice to be able to have that freedom to visit them and see where they live and what they do, and just to, not stress about it the way I did for decades.
The freedom to visit them. And that's a word we hear so often, is the freedom, that simplicity, that being debt free can afford us if we can stay focused on those goals or recognize the truth of what it will bring and what it will provide. That, buying cheap stuff at Target is not going to fill that. It doesn't bring that freedom.
I tried. I tried really hard.
Yeah. We've all tried in some form. So when somebody is on the path to like trying to achieve a simpler lifestyle, trying to achieve debt freedom, like we all mess up. And I'm sure that you along the way, like fell off the wagon, so to speak, and stuff. So like, what did you do to kind of recommit and remotivate yourself?
Well, here's what's interesting is I didn't fall off the wagon during that debt repayment time, but I had such conviction in why I wanted to pay that debt off, where before, if I had tried, it wasn't really a committed try. It was kind of like, I'm going to try this for a little while because I think I should, but it wasn't because I wanted to eliminate stress and be healthy.
Yeah.
So I really had a solid reason to do it. And it didn't feel like a sacrifice during that time. It was really exciting actually, because we were making these other changes as well. So, I mean, certainly I've had other changes where that happens and you have to kind of remotivate and get to it again. But with the debt repayment, for instance, knowing that it was going to take that long, I knew I couldn't wait until the end to celebrate. And so I celebrated all throughout the process, like with each card that we paid off, or each time we decided not to make a purchase that we couldn't afford, where normally I would just pop it on a credit card. But to say no and to actually make what some might say felt like a sacrifice, for me, it was a celebration. It was like, oh, I'm finally growing up, or I'm finally figuring this out. Like I can wait. And also making these changes gently and slowly made all the difference. So I didn't want the change itself to be stressful, where it always had been before, either for me or the people around me, because I was grouchy or, really focused on the end goal and not present and not understanding that I needed to learn the lessons that I needed to learn along the way to make this be a forever kind of fix.
I like the gently and slowly that you're describing. It makes me think about any change in our lives. It's tough to drink out of a fire hydrant. And so if we're trying to do that to bring simplicity and freedom and health into our lives, if it's at too rapid of a pace, it's not going to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah. And I mean, gently and slowly doesn't mean easy, but it just means that you're like every day committing to give yourself permission to engage in this change in a manner that best suits you and your family.
Yeah. And I liked the mindset that the shift that you noticed, like where other attempts have been like, I should do this. Because I think we reach a certain age or we get so far out of college and we're like, oh, I should probably start to try and pay off my debt. I should probably start to not spend $100 at Target every time I go. I should. And which is a completely different mindset than thinking like, I need to do this.
Or I get to do this. I mean, let's back up for a minute. I was in a really privileged situation to be able to pay off my debt, to be able to go into as much debt as I did. I have to say that, I was in a privileged situation no matter what, even though I was a single mom, even though I got MS, even though I was in heaps of debt, I was fortunate to be able to, I guess, put myself through that, even though it took me a while to realize that.
Yeah. Man. Well,
how do you top that? It's a privilege to pay off debt. So
it so is. And I think the only way we can follow that up is with our favorite time of the week. And we can just like meditate on that.
And we know what the favorite time of the week is.
It's the bill of the week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the bill of the week.
Really, my favorite bill was the first bill that I put on an automatic payment. And now I would say most of my bills are on automatic payments. But to be able to have that peace of mind that I don't have to try to make ends meet anymore, and that there will be enough to cover these bills without me giving it a second thought. I mean, I still can't even believe, even though it's been many years, that I'm in that situation. And I'm very grateful to be there. So yeah, that's my bill story of the week.
That's fantastic.
Great. Yes. You were worried that it wasn't going to be like Billy enough. And it definitely is.
Well, when I first read about it, I was like, oh, I have to think of something really clever. And it didn't happen. But
no, automatic payment is clever because it is so convenient. And like you said, just the peace of mind that you can do that the money is there to do that and the simplicity of it. So, oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Highly, highly underrated.
There's something to this, though, because a lot of people do mention this automatic payment thing and putting their bills on automatic payment that, there's more to it than what meets the eye. I think that there's some real keys here in the frugal world and in the debt repayment process and in reaching simplicity and minimalism to be able to do this.
Yes, it is. I mean, and it's a privilege to be able to sign up for automatic bill pay and not be worried that you're not going to have the funds in your account when it gets auto drafted.
Yeah.
I love it. If you out there also love automatic bill pay, or you have a different bill of the week, you can visit frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill and leave us a voicemail or a speak pipe, and we will share it on the show. We love them all.
It's never too late. Never too late to earn a degree. Never too late for a comeback. Between your busy career and taking care of a family, it can feel like there's never a good time to go back to school. But your time is now. Time to start your comeback with Purdue Global. As Purdue's online university for working adults, Purdue Global is dedicated to supporting adults like you who know it's time to earn the recognition you deserve. You have the experience, you have the knowledge, it's time to get credit for the work you've done. You can balance work, family, and everything in between while earning your degree. It's time to move forward in your career, for your family and for yourself, with a degree you're proud of, a degree that employers will recognize and respect. You're worth this investment in yourself to earn a degree you deserve. It's never too late. Never too late to go back to school and come back stronger with an education you can trust. Now is the time for your comeback. Start yours today at purdueglobal.edu.
We all agree that reducing carbon emissions is a good thing. And once again, Toyota is leading the way. We hear a lot about fully electric vehicles, and Toyota has them, with more on the way. But we also know ABEV is not for everyone, whether it's because of cost, range, or concern about finding a charging station when you need it. Plus, the raw materials used to manufacture batteries are limited. Enter Beyond Zero, Toyota's vision for a carbon-neutral future, in vehicles and in manufacturing plants, too, in the years ahead. The materials used to make just one long-range battery for an EV could be used to make batteries for 6 plug-in hybrids or 90 gas-electric hybrids. That's why Toyota's position today is electrified, diversified, empowering you to choose how to reduce your own carbon footprint with the vehicle that's right for you. A hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or battery EV. So, shop, learn more, and get details at toyota.com/beyond zero. Toyota, let's go places.
Well, Courtney, this is the part of our show that we like to fondly call the lightning round. No real reason for that other than I just like the sound of it, and it's slightly shorter than the first part.
Normally she would like really get into it in saying it, but she's being polite because we have a guest.
I'm being polite for our guest. I was raised well, so I'm not going to yell in her ears.
Yes.
Just know it's the lightning round, and sounds associated with lightning should go here.
Yes.
So, Courtney, can you tell us a little bit about Project 333 or 333? How do you say it? And what inspired it?
Yeah, I say Project 333, but it doesn't really matter what you call it, 333, whatever. But for 333 stands for 3 months, 33 items. And it was inspired by my disaster of a closet that even after years of simplifying, I had ignored and backburnered and not wanted to really face, because I still enjoyed purchasing things for my closet. After all, I needed clothes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was a place where I could justify something new. You know, there's a new event. I need something new. I have a new emotion. I need something new, whatever it was in my closet. So
that's a good reasoning.
And I knew that this slow and steady approach that we've been talking about wasn't going to work for my closet. So I created a challenge, a personal challenge, where I would dress with 33 items or less for 3 months, including clothes, jewelry, accessories, and shoes, and see what happened. And I documented the process, and lots of people joined in, and we all had pretty amazing benefits to talk about at the end of even those first 3 months, which I was surprised about. It was only supposed to be for 3 months, but it added such value to my life that even today, 9 years later, I still am dressing with 33 items or less every 3 months. And just to clarify, it's not 33 different items every 3 months. That would kind of defeat the purpose, I think, of the whole challenge. A lot of my wardrobe goes from season to season to season.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah, I tried it, and we have like 2 seasons in Florida, so it's just like hot and unbearably hot. So I kind of like challenge myself to like keep everything together and just like separate it. And it was hard. It was difficult for me, actually, even as much as I like love minimalism and like having fewer items, it was still hard.
What was the hard part for you?
I think maybe not knowing myself fully and not knowing the things. Like I had an idea of my wardrobe and who I was in fashion. And so I like kept these things that I wanted to wear more than maybe I put away some things that I should have kept out. And so it was just like learning about myself, I think, was the hard part.
Yeah, we often have these aspirational wardrobes, like let's dress for the people we want to be or the people we think people think we are.
Yeah.
And that never works.
Yeah. Like I wanted to be the person that wears accessories, and I am not. I don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was, it was really, really interesting. Do you have any tips for somebody that wants to do Project 333?
Probably the thing that I like to remind people the most is it's only 3 months. So don't overthink like this, what am I going to wear for the rest of my life? And don't get rid of anything that you're not including for those first 3 months, because that just causes more stress. Just get it out of sight. So get your 33 items together, hang them in your closet, and get everything else out of sight for 3 months. Don't buy new things for the challenge, because what you'll learn along the way, kind of like you did, is what you have in your closet right now might not be what you want or need in your closet. But if you go buy new things, you might not want or need those things either at the end of those first 3 months. So give yourself those 3 months to be a little scared of what you may or may not be wearing. Don't worry about feeling like it's not enough, because it won't feel like enough if you're used to dressing from a huge selection. But recognize that even if you have a big selection right now, you're probably only wearing a small percentage of that huge selection. But you have to face all of those other clothes every day and the emotions that go with those clothes. So, for instance, I had clothes that didn't fit me well, and that made me feel a certain way. I had clothes that I had spent too much money on, clothes that still had tags hanging on them because they were a good deal. So I bought them and then never wore them. I didn't feel good about that. But every single day I'd have to look at that. And whether I was conscious about the fact that that was impacting me, I don't think I was, until it was gone. And then it was like this weight was lifted. So I know I just gave you like 30 things to think about, but
all fantastic. We'll take all of them.
Okay.
We're so greedy.
Yes.
We're greedy for the tips. We're not simple in that way. We'll collect them all.
I was just thinking that I was like, I should try this again. And then I was like, I am currently doing like project like 9-4 because I only have like 2 shirts and a pair of maternity shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, and sometimes people ask me, like, is this a good time if I'm having a baby or if I'm going through this major life change, and I always say, maybe not. Like, maybe this isn't the best time. Maybe you should just focus on like growing that human, like we talked about earlier, and that you don't have to add one more thing. Just because I think it's a great idea, and I can almost promise that you'll discover something about yourself from doing the challenge. It doesn't mean you have to do it right now. It'll be here when you're ready.
I like that.
Yeah. I'll do it when I get back down to pre-baby.
When somebody is done creating another human and they do the 3-month challenge, like what should they do at the end of those 3 months? What happens then?
At the end of the challenge? Well, here's what happens. Some people wrap it up and they say, okay, I've done that. Here's what I've learned about myself. And here's how I'm going to approach wardrobe differently. Some people say, wow, like me, that added so much value to my life in terms of reduced decision fatigue, less shopping, less thinking about what I'm going to wear or what I need. It also really hit the point home that you don't have to worry what people think of you, because they're not thinking of you in any kind of way most of the time. I was convinced that what I wore said volumes about me. And when I did this for the first time, I was working full time. No one noticed. And I was around the same people all the time. They didn't notice that I was doing it. No one did. Nobody cares what I'm wearing. And that gave me the freedom to think about all of the other decisions I've made in my life based on what other people think. And then I realized that they weren't really thinking about it. So why did I put that pressure on myself? So for me, and realizing those benefits, that inspired me to keep going, as have many other people. They just kind of keep that. Not that the number 33 is that magical or important. So for some people, maybe it's 36 or 25 or 42, whatever it is. But to have those boundaries in place just removes the distraction of trying to decide for that season. So at the beginning of every season, or the end of every season, same thing, I'll get rid of anything in that particular capsule wardrobe that isn't going to work for the next season and fill in the blanks if I want.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love what you're saying about how it really doesn't matter to other people. And I've noticed that for my own wardrobe. It has been in the past something that is fun for me to go to thrift stores and buy clothing inexpensively that I like and put together new outfits. And so my husband and I have since, though, lived in small spaces. Like currently we're in 170 square feet. So I can't do that as a hobby anymore unless I am constantly throwing things out, which I don't want to do. So it has caused me to really pare down. And I only have a handful of items that I wear to work. And at first I thought, oh man, like what are my clients going to think that I'm wearing the same thing all the time? And nobody notices. Like nobody says anything. Who's going to remember what I wore last week? They just don't.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I wore last week. So.
Right? I don't remember.
So it's even an exercise in humility too, that I am not that important.
Yep. Oh my gosh, so true. All right, Courtney, so where can people go to follow you and learn more about you, your fantastic website, Be More With Less, and your book and everything you do?
So most everything is on my site, BeMoreWithLess.com. I post regularly on Instagram at Be More With Less. And next March, the new Project 333 book will be out.
Yay!
So there'll be more information on that and some fun things coming around the corner that I can't wait to share, but I will wait to share.
So exciting. So, I mean, maybe we'll do, March was your month this month for the book club. Maybe we'll just like keep that trend going.
I'd love that.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Courtney. This has been a really rich time, and I hope that your story has inspired other people like it has for us to just go forth for simplicity, not just for simplicity's sake, but just for like everything it offers.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for sharing your journey, Courtney. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Wow. I know I say it after every interview, but that's mostly because I don't know how to start my my sentences. But wow, that one was really good.
And it is appropriate. She has such a grace about her, which I can't help but wonder. It must be the simplicity, right? The soulful simplicity that she's experienced, because she's got this calm serenity about her. It's probably why I didn't scream lightning round, because it just didn't feel appropriate. I needed to talk like this.
She should come back more. I think sometimes we get so caught up in crazes like the KonMari craze at the beginning of the year and saying like, this sounds like a good idea. I should do this. Like as an adult, I should be this way. And she views it as it's a privilege for me to do this. And also that she needed to do it for her health. And so she just comes at it with such an alternative view. And I think view and mindset are half of the battle when you're trying to make life changes or financial changes. And I think those are views that it would all be beneficial for all of us to adopt.
I do love that, like even shifting perspective from like a have to, because I think that is a lot of the barrier to having motivation. If it feels like a burden. And we talk about that with budgets too, right? Shifting the mindset of budget and not having it be like a savings plan, but a spending plan. And there's so many pivotal shifts that we can make in perspective that can change our levels of motivation, our rates of success, however you want to define that. But yeah, that viewing it as a privilege seemed like a help to her in being able to accomplish these things and then see the real benefits of it.
Yeah, I hope that is the big takeaway that we can take from this. What a privilege it is to be able to live these lifestyles.
Yeah. And for more on these lifestyles and to engage with us further, we are still doing this book club thing and reading all about frugality and minimalism and simplicity and all these topics that we love so much and we want to stay motivated on and we want to form friendships over. So it's June, and right now we are reading Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. So another angle of minimalism and in our digital lives. So it's real interesting. Get in on it. And talk with us in our Frugal Friends community, Facebook community group, because there's all sorts of wisdom and tips and tidbits.
Yes, unless you're doing a digital fast. In that case, we'll see you after that.
Yeah, we support you in that.
Yes. So this is a pretty new book. So if you're on a wait list in your library and you just want a free copy, you can enter to win one from us. Leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher of our podcast. Screenshot the review and send it to frugalfriendspodcast@gmail.com. And we will select one winner for a book for every 5 reviews that we get. So that is a pretty good chance for winning.
And if you want to know an example of a helpful review, if you want to help us out in this way and enter for your chance to win a free book, this free book, here's one that you can take as inspiration. And it is 5 stars, just so you know that and you're aware of how helpful this is. And it's from Amy A. in Texas. And she titles this Entertaining Practicality. These 2 ladies crack me up and offer great tips on living a frugal lifestyle, and the accompanying online group is great too. That's amazing. Thank you, Amy. I don't think we've ever had a review that mentioned the online group that we also have. So that is a helpful review, because now people who read this can know that we offer more than just a podcast. There's a whole community,
so much more,
that is engaging on these topics. Well, a book club, community, podcast, friendship. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Laughter.
Yes, always.
And babies, humans. I don't know. You've got a human in you.
I mean,
so
that's not for the community. That's not for.
But you're bringing it to the table every week, hitting the table with it every week.
I do. Yeah. Soon to be done, because I'm about to be on maternity leave.
I know. This is our last episode before you have your baby. Although once this is out, Jen will already have her baby. So wrap your mind around that one.
Yes. And we did record a few after this, but before it.
Oh, that's a good point. It's all confusing. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Anyways.
Somebody will see you next week.
I will see you. You'll hear me next week. You can join the Facebook group to see what status I'm in with my baby. Until then. Au revoir.
See ya.
Frugal Friends is produced, edited, and mixed by Eric Sirianni. Yeah, this whole pre-recording thing has been quite confusing.
But we're doing it though.
As long as Eric gets it and gets the episodes out.
Sometimes I am like, what which one's going to be released today, because I've done a few
I never know.
ahead in my show notes too. So I'm like, hopefully he pairs the right audio with the right show notes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's all on you, Eric. It's all on you.
This whole thing rests on your shoulders. Not really.
Yeah.
What kind of updates will you give us in the Facebook community group? Will you spam us with your pictures?
Probably mostly pics. Pictures. Yeah. That'll be all I'm capable of. Maybe I'll submit a bill of the week. Maybe.
Spoiler alert.
We'll see.
We'll have to see. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
A group of high school students started a project to research a string of unsolved murders.
There is no profile of this killer except for the ones the students created.
What if this guy's still alive? Like, what if he comes after us?
Once you start getting a few tips or a few leads or a few identifications, then the cold case isn't so cold anymore.
This is Murder 101. Listen to Murder 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson. Dive into family tales, explore the human mind, and laugh with guests like Joel and Benji Madden. It's more than a podcast, it's a celebration of the ties that bind us.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.